Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
This is my boomstick.
Here's Johnny.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Righteous! Righteous! Yeah!
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Houston, we have a problem.
The first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
All right.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Will Spalding, as always. Didn't change as of last week, and I am, of course, joined by Sam Dierberger. Sam, what's going on?
How are we doing today? This morning, actually, we
Oh, you're cutting out, Sam.
were filming an episode at 8 a.m., which is
There you go.
wow. Well, that's the internet for you. So yeah, I mean, we're filming an episode at 8 a.m., which is pretty wild. So our radio voices aren't quite, there yet.
Correct.
We'll get there, though.
This is probably the earliest we've recorded in time of day wise. So, if we're a bit off, blame the clock. So.
It revolves around us.
But no,
it really does.
Such a weird week because, Sam, you texted me earlier this week and you were like, want to record on Wednesday? And I thought, oh, that's perfect. And you texted me that on Tuesday. And for some reason, my days were all mixed up. For some reason, I thought it was Monday that day. So I thought I had 2 days. So then I have no idea. I just thought it was the day it was not. And we were all mixed up, so we're finally recording. Now it's Friday, so I don't think we've ever recorded on a Friday before either. So this is new stuff here.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. And we already talked about this, but we will have, fear not, loyal fans, we will have a quick turnaround from this week into next week, because we know that we're notorious for getting episodes out on Monday or Tuesday, and we're getting this week's out on Friday. But we will have a quick turnaround. We'll use the weekend to reset. It'll be great.
Yeah, so I think from here on out we're gonna hit consistent, steady releases as we kind of enter summer. So that's exciting to me as well.
Yeah.
But Sam, I feel like we have a packed episode this week. We just barely mentioned that off the air, but there's quite a few industry news, and then the movie of the week this week, I think, has an interesting talk around it. So, Sam, what is said movie of the week?
This week we're talking about Stowaway.
Stowaway, yeah.
Ooh.
At this point, we just keep doing Netflix movies. Netflix has enough cash. Why don't they just pay us?
We should really get paid for promotion.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing another Netflix movie next week as well. We'll tease that at the end of the episode, but just so much Netflix. So much Netflix.
Man, until the other streaming services can keep up and get their crap together, Netflix is the place to go for original releases. It just is. So yeah, you have a few pieces of industry news to talk about, I understand.
Yeah. I'll start with least interesting to most interesting.
Sure.
We have some casting news for Knives Out 2. Which of course is going to be on Netflix, as Netflix bought the rights for just a bonkers amount of money, $425 million. I think we talked about that, but that's just that is just stupid how much money that is.
Oh man.
So Knives Out 2, obviously not the same cast as Knives Out 1. I'm assuming it's not even going to be called Knives Out 2, but We still have Daniel Craig, obviously, as the detective, but some other cast members were announced. We have Edward Norton, Dave Bautista.
Okay.
And the final one that I have seen is Janelle Monáe.
Okay.
So interesting. Already assembling that ensemble cast. I'm assuming we're gonna hear some more announcements in the coming weeks. But Sam, do you have any initial thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, they have a high bar to live up to because just in terms of star power attached to the project. Because the first Knives Out, that cast was insane. I don't know how they were able to just, well, you know, with a lot of movies, like if you have a big ensemble cast with a lot of stars, they don't interact much with each other, and you kind of need to, you know, shoot around their schedules. They managed to get them all in the same room for a significant number of scenes. It's like, I don't know what they dropped to be in this project, but it's wild to me. So maybe that's where the $425 million is coming from. Because they have to pay around all these people's schedules. I don't know. But they have a high bar to live up to in terms of getting stars attracted to a project like that.
Yeah, you know, that's a really good point because it's not easy for all these people to have schedules that will overlap as they're all doing different movies at different times or whatever. So it's definitely a tough situation to get them all to have the same schedule for, 3 weeks. So
yeah, for sure. And the other thing I wanted to ask you about was that $425 million. Is that just the rights to a sequel, or is it the rights to the entire franchise? Because I would imagine it's a franchise they're planning.
I really think it's the rights to 2 sequels. I don't know if it's the rights to the franchise. I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure it's not. It's for 2 sequels. I mean, they'll definitely buy the other ones too.
Yeah.
And also that $425 million is the money also to make the movies. But it's a little confusing.
Right.
As I understand it, Rian Johnson, the writer-director of Knives Out and Knives Out 2 and 3, probably had scripts written for 2 and 3 and kind of just sent them out there and said, who wants it? And Netflix essentially said, we do. As far as I understand, $100 million went straight to Rian Johnson's pocket.
What?
$100 million went straight to Daniel Craig's pocket.
No way.
Yeah, apparently.
No way.
They're getting $225 million to make both movies, which these movies do not cost $100 million a piece. I mean,
no.
I bet the first movie cost $30. I don't know the budget of Knives Out, but could not be much. $40. So I assume they're just going to pocket more of that, which is just insane.
Yeah.
So,
not unless their sets get more complicated.
Yeah, that could be.
Locations, yeah.
The first movie, we really have 1 set, maybe 2. So. But yeah.
It's just a house. Just a house,
We have Knives Out probably for the next decade, Sam, to look forward to.
Sweet.
And that's exciting. So as long as they're as creative and original as that first one is, I'm there.
Yeah, that was the surprise hit of the year, I think, 2019.
Oh, for sure.
It just came out of nowhere, and it was just so refreshing to watch a murder mystery movie that was an original concept. Like, that doesn't come by very often. So
yeah,
we're fans. We're fans.
All right, moving on to number 2 of the industry news. We have a little Oscars news. That was Sam's radar detector for his submarine that he's in case anyone's wondering.
That's why it sounds like I'm underwater. Yeah.
So we have some Oscar news. Back in 2009, 2010, I want to say, the Oscars said we're moving from 5 Best Picture nominees to 6 to 10 Best Picture nominees, which has been the case for the past decade. And then this year, this upcoming Oscars, they said 10, no matter what. So we're not playing around with any 8s or 9s or 7s. We're going straight to 10. And I think there will always be 10 from here on out, unless they change the rule again, obviously. So
it's just a nice number, you know?
Yeah. You know, it's good that I just like that it'll be some sort of consistency, because year in, year out, we're like, okay, I mean, here's like 10 movies that could be nominated, but, you know, I feel like they never do 10. So which one's getting cut, you know?
Right. Yeah, totally.
So it'll be good to have 10, and then we have 10 and we can make our predictions based off that. So that'll be nice.
Yeah, you know, it's because part of me thinks like, are we gonna run out of good films to nominate? Because, you know, 2019, 2020 may have been special cases, because I think we saw a lot of actually great movies that came out of both. But, you know, it's like the average year, are we getting 10? Are there 10 movies released that are truly worthy of a Best Picture nomination? Probably not. But on the flip side of that, as we've talked about before, it's like more nominations are better, because then more art gets recognized as significant. So I can see both sides of the argument. I would err on the side of, you know, probably more nominations, even if the movies selected are kind of crappy. But I mean, they're going to be crappy anyway, because the Academy really picks some bad nominees.
Some questionable choices in there.
Yeah, of course. So
yeah, I understand that criticism of like, what if there's not 10 movies that should be nominated for Best Picture? I think that's a complaint that's tossed around a lot. I just think, you know, let's say you have in a given year, let's say you have 6 really solid movies that you're like, yes, those 6 are Best Picture nominees. And then let's say you have 3 more that are like, yeah, those are probably Best Picture nominees. You know, you could clump those in there. Those are good. And then you have 3 more that you could be like, yeah, you know, those are really good movies. You know, maybe they have like an outside Best Picture nominee shot. So I mean, there's 12 right there, and you cut 2 of those that have the outside shot. I think you could have in any year 10, and you wouldn't have anything feel super out of place.
Right. Yeah. No, I understand that. And I think it has a lot to do with our own prejudices, like in terms of just like not wanting to see as many movies as possible. I mean, you are much better at this than me, because you'll sit through anything. I mean, even if it looks absolutely dreadful, you'll go see it. And there's plenty of movies where I'm just like, I have no Godzilla versus Kong. No, thank you. Like, I don't care if I want to return to the theater. I'm not interested. So yeah. I mean, I guess it has to do with how well you can sit through things that you don't think you'll enjoy. My mind isn't changed that easily, you know.
You know, there are some though that I've watched because they're a Best Picture nominee, and I just go, oh my gosh, I'm not looking forward to this. Like, this is just gonna be awful.
Yeah.
That happens. So it's a double-edged sword for sure.
Yes.
But moving on to the final, I would say most interesting, at least could spur a nice conversation about it, is Sam. I don't know if you've heard of this. But NBC has dropped the Golden Globes this year. Because
I did hear about this.
Diversity issues and corruption issues. What do you think about this? Do you think there's going to be a Golden Globes next year? I think they're going to have to take the year off.
I think they will take the year off. I think, from what I understand, it's really not going to be. We're for sure not going to see a Golden Globes until at least 2023. Which, look, here's the problem. I think the problem is that the reason for canceling it next year is kind of multifaceted. Because, like you say, on one hand you have diversity issues, and on the other hand you have corruption issues, and I think not just diversity issues. I think there's a third category, which Scarlett Johansson, I think, came public about, which was she basically accused members of the Hollywood Foreign Press of like borderline like sexual harassment, which I mean, obviously problema's there. So I mean, I guess, look, of the problems that the Hollywood Foreign Press apparently has, I guess this is the first time we're hearing about this, which is also strange. And I don't know why it's all coming public now. But I mean, how I would rank the issues is obviously the sexual harassment issues, the corruption issues, and then the diversity issues. I think that's bottom of the barrel. I think diversity issues, as we talked about before, with the new Oscars regulations that'll go into effect in like 2024, 2023. Like those, I think diversity is an ongoing thing that you can address. It's not worth canceling an award show over. The corruption issues, I don't know. I don't know. And it's difficult too, because these are things that can't really be properly investigated, because the Hollywood Foreign Press can't investigate itself, and it's not really like a criminal thing,
Yeah, my thing with the whole diversity issue is they're not approaching diversity in terms of the Oscars are. And the Oscars are approaching diversity in what they can nominate because of the diversity on the film sets. The Hollywood Foreign Press is approaching diversity in terms of their members, because they have no black members. I think it's a little different than what the Oscars are doing.
Yeah.
And the Oscars have black voters. The Hollywood Foreign Press does not, which I think is a greater issue. So.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. You have to think like, well, first of all, how do you get into the Hollywood Foreign Press to begin with?
Well, I know you submit an application is essentially what you do.
Yeah.
And the Hollywood Foreign Press then reviews it. And for the past, like they haven't admitted a member in years and years.
Right.
They're at 93 members, and I think they've been that way for at least a decade.
Yeah.
The Academy Awards has like hundreds of members, voting members, I should say.
Right.
And the HFPA has 93. So.
Yeah. No, but that's what's so interesting about this is we talked about before the Golden Globes closely mirrors the Oscars in terms of what is nominated and what wins. So the question of diversity is so fascinating because I really feel like, the Hollywood Foreign Press is more just is more inclined just to follow what they think the Oscars will entail, and that's what's so interesting. I don't think they're particularly caught up in their own biases. I think they just their only bias is to be, I guess, treated as legitimately as the Academy is. And I think that's what they're constantly trying to live up to. So I don't think that, diversity issues, I think those can be addressed in the application process, probably. And I mean, that's something that they have to look at themselves. But in terms of canceling the award show itself, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I suppose. I know what you're saying. The canceling comes from the corruption. I mean,
yeah,
we see the Globes do a lot of weird stuff. Not normally with what wins, but definitely with what is nominated. I mean, last year we had that music movie that Sia did, where it just got, like, horrible backlash for being really offensive, and was nominated in multiple categories. And like Amy Poehler and Tina Fey like made fun of it multiple times because they essentially said, we have no idea how this is nominated, but here it is. Like, horrible movie, like awful in terms of social issues, and they nominated it for multiple awards, which goes hand in hand with, like, you know, there was definitely some corruption behind the scenes for that. And, you know, I think that's where the cancellation of the show is coming from. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I should say the show isn't technically canceled yet, not to my knowledge. NBC just decided not to air it this year.
Right.
Next year. So I think what I mean to say is I don't think anyone else is going to pick it up, which means it'll be canceled type thing.
I think Netflix will pick it up.
They're going to air it live.
There's no conflict of interest there if Netflix picks it up.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing, like I said before, like, there's nothing legal about this, really. Like, it's not. Well, it could have legal implications, but it's just so difficult to investigate something like that, you know, because corruption has always existed with any kind of award, you know.
No, never. Corruption has never been a thing for an award.
It's always been run of the mill. So yeah, right. They just choose. They are the most objective.
Yeah.
What is the story about 12 Years a Slave in, like, you know, 2013 when they got like 7 members of the Academy to admit that they voted for 12 Years a Slave for Best Picture, and they had not seen the movie.
You know, 12 Years a Slave likely deserved that award that year for Best Picture, but my goodness, that's terrible. You saw you didn't. Well, first of all, like, how could you not watch every Best Picture nominee to decide which one is?
You're literally a member of the Academy, and you just said, nah.
I mean, that's your first issue, is you didn't see them all. Your second issue is the one you didn't see, you voted for. Yeah. So, peer pressure is a hell of a drug. But yeah. So I think that's the extent of my thoughts on that. I think the Hollywood Foreign Press can handle any kind of heat it's getting. I feel no sympathy for those people, because generally I don't really feel sympathy for anyone in Hollywood, because that's the world, you know. Right.
You're on top of the world. It's you can handle things.
Yeah. So just really interesting. Yeah, you're right. It's surprising that this just came out. I think people were aware of it, but not to this extent. So interesting for sure.
Yeah.
But Sam, unless you have any other industry news, should we get on to Stowaway?
I don't. Let's talk about Stowaway.
Hi, Glenn. Zoe. I'm a doctor. I want you to focus on slowing down your breathing. Into your nose, out through your mouth.
Hi, Michael. I'm Miranda Garnett, the commander of the ship. Do you remember what happened on the pad?
The launch support engineer had... How long was I out?
We took off about 12 hours ago.
12 hours. You need to talk to my sister, please. My sister, she's alone. Please, I gotta get back.
I'm not going back.
What do you mean we're not going back? This is a 2-year mission.
2 years is a long time to be away, but this is the opportunity of a lifetime.
I can learn fast.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
We are taking the first steps to being able to call Mars a second home.
So this was an Elon Musk biopic.
That's right. That's right. It's what we call it's a predictive biopic.
Yeah.
It's predicting.
Super cool. It's basically just Elon Musk and a rover.
Mm.
And they're just walking around Mars together. So that's basically the movie. A+.
100%. This is completely unrelated. Did you see Elon Musk on SNL this weekend?
I did not. I didn't.
You know, he's not the worst actor in the world. He's not bad.
I'll actually have to check that out. That's funny.
He could actually pull off a good variety of accents. But anyway, okay, yeah. So back to Stowaway.
Stowaway.
Here we go. Problem number one. Okay, I don't want people to think that I'm giving this a completely negative review because that's not true at all. But problem number one, Stowaway is a bad title because a stowaway is someone who intentionally hides on his ship to, get away. It's not, these things don't happen by accident. So that's problem number one. I think it's a bad title. But beyond that, where the heck do we start here with this kind of interesting character study piece?
Yeah, so this movie has an interesting conversation around it. Not even for the sake of the movie, but the reaction to it almost as well, which I want to talk about at the end because I think it is an interesting conversation. But to start, I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was pretty good. It's funny because you tell me personally, hey, we got a movie with like 4 actors in a really small space or a really small shooting area, and it's in space. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the movie for me.
Yeah,
I like a limited cast. I like, small spaces, and then you put it in space, and it's even better. But I'm thinking like 12 Angry Men, or I don't know. Name any movie that's limited cast and then a 1 or 2 shooting spots, and
right,
that's fantastic. So that's like, from the beginning, this had me hooked. I mean, I watch everything, but I had to watch this movie if we weren't doing this.
Right.
So
it's about the highest compliment you can get. No, I'm just kidding. I watch it even if we weren't. Yeah. But no. So the thing that's so interesting about it is that it is in space. It's a limited cast, and so it seems that all of the budget that would have been spent on a movie like this was spent pretty much exclusively on the set, because the production design is phenomenal. It's incredible.
It looks great. Yeah,
it looks so good. It looks like, when do you think this movie is set? Because I would say maybe like 20 years in the future.
Yeah, it doesn't say, but yeah, around then.
Because it's got like fire extinguishers, and they look like our fire extinguishers still, and they're kind of like, like the just like all the mechanical stuff, the industrial stuff on the walls and kind of the ceiling of the ship. It looks like pretty close to our time, but a little futuristic, and the production design, oh my god, is phenomenal. But that's where I would imagine they spent 95% of the budget, because there's nothing else to spend it on.
Aside from the cast, There's not much to spend the money on. I mean, this movie looks really good in terms of its production design and how it's shot, and really enjoyed this movie. But I guess where we can start is let's break this down by each character and each performance to start.
Mm-hmm.
We'll start with the main character. What'd you think of Anna Kendrick? She's sometimes hit or miss.
I haven't made up my mind as to whether or not I'm a fan of Anna Kendrick, just generally. But I know for sure that in this role, in this movie, she was not the right pick. Like, the way that she just kind of has this, she's not very versatile. She definitely has a character that she reoccurringly plays, Yeah. So in this role, as a kind of like survivalist astronaut drama role, I don't think she's the right pick. She's just too sympathetic. She's very, I don't think she does great with a lot of the negative emotions, like the really drastic stuff, like these life or death situations. I don't know. I just thought she was a weird pick for this role. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I think Anna Kendrick is a good actress, and I think she is okay in this movie. I think I'm a little higher on her in this movie than you are.
Sure.
I think she hit most of the notes she was supposed to do, and she missed a few, and that's okay.
Yeah. This
movie doesn't need her really, but it also I don't think is hurt substantially with her, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think we would have gotten something completely amazing from somebody else. So.
Okay. Sure.
She's fine here. I think she's doing okay.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I was a little.
No,
I don't know.
I agree with you. I don't think she brings anything to this role. So she was fine. In my opinion, she was the worst of the four, but still not awful. So there's my thoughts on Miss Kendrick.
I actually haven't made up my mind who was worse, Anna Kendrick or Daniel Day Kim.
To me, well, we'll just move on to him. Slightly better to me.
Maybe slightly. I'm not sure.
I think. So I thought Anna Kendrick throughout the entire movie was consistently okay to fine. Daniel Day Kim, he had some really good moments, but gosh, there were some bad things in there.
There were just a lot of just a lot of stiffness, a lot of just like his default, it seemed, when he didn't know what emotion to have is just utter seriousness. And he just drops into this like low monotone, and he's like, we have to do this or else we will die. Like just a lot of that in the most inappropriate of situations. It didn't make sense. So yeah, I think that's the right way to put it. I think Anna Kendrick was probably less great, but she was more consistently less great, whereas Daniel Day Kim had these like highs and lows, where sometimes his seriousness that he brought to the character worked really, really well in these dire situations. But yeah, I don't know.
He doesn't remember filming some of those scenes. Is all I'm gonna say. He was checked out sometimes.
Yeah, it was pretty clear he was just like on autopilot. But
other times, like I was like, it was weird watching it because I'm like, man, he is really good right there. And then like 5 minutes later, I'm like, gosh, what is he doing?
when he has to apologize to Michael, like it's just, I'm sorry for what I said. Like it's just like,
yeah,
I don't know.
It was. So moving on to Michael. This was the only actor I had not seen really in anything before.
Yeah.
Man, I have to say, I was impressed.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked what he was doing, and I would see this guy. What was his name?
I think his name was actually Michael. Hang on. Okay, never mind. Shamir Anderson.
I'd see this guy in anything because he was really good.
He's known for playing U.S. Marshal Xavier Doles on the series Wyoming Earp. Interesting. He's Canadian.
Oh, there you go. That explains it.
That's why. That's it right there. Yeah. Surprise. Just I didn't know anything about him. He's tasked with a pretty complex role emotionally to pull off. You know,
this is the toughest role to do, and I thought he did the best.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of, well, you know, any kind of scene in a movie where an actor has to depict a character waiting to die or trying to reconcile with death.
Yeah.
I mean, that can make or break a movie, and I think he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, he's really good in this movie, and I was surprised.
Didn't know anything about him, so yeah, that was the surprise hit of the movie. And then, of course, Toni Collette, you know, at least she gets to do her native accent for once.
It's funny you mentioned that because I'm watching the movie and I'm like, is she doing an Australian accent? Why is she doing that? Like, what? I was like, what does that provide to this movie? Why she would choose an Australian accent? And then about 20 minutes later, she's still doing it. Like, I noticed it more, and I'm like, okay, I have to look it up. Is she Australian? I had no idea.
Oh, really?
Saw she was Australian. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. I don't think I've ever seen her do her native accent ever.
I think that's that might be an indicator that she's finally rose to appropriate fame when you're able to do your native accent in a movie, because you know she showed up to set day one, and you know it doesn't matter if it's American or Australian really, because like, you know, the space company is an international organization, so I don't think the filmmakers really cared, but I think she might have been just tired or something, and she's just like, I'm going into Australia, and they're like, okay, Tony, that's fine. It doesn't matter either way.
Toni Collette is just so awesome. She's so good in everything she does, and you know, she's probably a little less good in this than she is in like Hereditary. I don't love that movie, but you know, she's great. Or you know, Little Miss Sunshine or something like that. But man, she's just awesome.
You know, and I mean, I think the thing was she was actually, her character was very limited here. I don't think it's enough room for her to really display her talents. With a character like this, but then again, you know, this is probably pretty quick to film, for her at least, you know, because there's not a whole lot. It's just a lot of like interior shots. It's not like she needs to, you know, be in front of a green screen all the time.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think this was probably just a really quick payday for her, but she made the most of it, definitely. And yeah, I had no question in my head that she would be excellent when, you know, I started the movie. I mean, that was a foregone conclusion.
She's just so good in everything, man.
She deserves so much more recognition. I mean, she's gaining fame a little bit, but she's still not properly recognized.
For sure.
You know,
I mean, gosh, her like I'm thinking of ending things. my goodness, she is just so good, man.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, I think my ranking for the cast would be Shamir Anderson, just because he's doing the most. Then probably Tony. Then Anna Kendrick, and then Daniel Day Kim, then Anna Kendrick. Maybe, I don't know. Those two could flip the bottom, but
right.
I thought overall, the cast did a good job. I thought, that this movie relies on them. I think this movie is about as good as the cast is. If that's what I'm trying to say. So,
yeah,
very good.
So 50%. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it was good. It's always refreshing, like you said, to see a 4-person cast. Something like that. You don't even realize till the end that it was a 4-person cast. Like the entire time, I wasn't thinking like, "Oh, are we gonna see any other characters?" No. By the end, the movie ended. I was counting on my finger. I was like, "We only saw 4 people there."
Well, Jim.
Oh, Jim. I think that's another gripe. I think he should have had a better name.
Than Jim.
Because when she calls Jim, obviously he's a prominent engineer, space aeronautics engineer or whatever, and the way she talks to him, it's like he's like a guy that like fixes printers or something. Like it's just like, Jim, I need this solved, and it's mostly because his name is Jim. Like, I need this figured out. It's like, yeah, we're dying in space here. I don't know. Sorry, it's minor complaint.
I actually do have a complaint about that. We see Toni Collette's character, whom is named Barnett, is her, Commander Barnett.
Her first name is Marina, according to Wikipedia.
We see her communicating with Jim this entire time, and we can't hear Jim. It's just muffled. I don't know why they did that. Like, just let us hear him too.
Let's hear Jim.
Yeah, I want to. We kind of you piece together what he's saying by her facial expressions and what she communicates to the crew later. But just let us hear it. It's fine. Like we can hear it. It's okay. I don't know why.
I don't think they had it in the budget for a voice actor. I think that's what it was.
I guess not. So
yeah. So should we get into the plot then?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you break it down.
Yeah. So we start out. First of all, we're kind of left with questions to begin with because we have this rocket taking off, and we just have Anna Kendrick, Daniel Day Kim, and Toni Collette. Toni Collette is flying this thing. Anna Kendrick and Daniel Day Kim are sitting there doing absolutely nothing. So right away, we're like, "What's the authority structure here?" And so they take off, and we see that there's an issue with the takeoff as they go into the atmosphere. And Toni Collette's like, "We should abort this," and then Jim is just like, "Nah, it's fine. Keep going." And they end up. This was kind of an interesting thing. Will is they meet up with this larger vessel that is, encircling the Earth, right. And I just assume that's a space station. Because people do that all the time. Like astronauts go up all the time. They live at a space station for a few years and then they come back down.
Also correct. Yes.
Yes. Well, I have a PhD in astrophysics, so
yeah, you do. Yep. I can see it right now.
You can tell by the sophisticated language I'm using.
Yeah.
So no, I assume they're going up into a space station. No. They're flying to Mars by connecting to a larger ship that has no one on it, which I have so many questions. How did that ship get there? Why does it just sit there like a taxi waiting to take people to Mars? What the heck? I don't know. I had questions about that were never answered. But so we get kind of this like cheap suspense that's built up by, the process of Toni Collette trying to pilot this thing into the larger ship, and she does. And then Anna Kendrick, like a little girl, gets up from her seat and goes, "Oh my God, that was incredible!" and hugs Toni Collette. I'm like, what is going on right now? Who are these people?
That was really bad. That part was bad.
I'm like, what is going on?
I actually forgot about that until you said something, but yeah.
That stuck in my mind. And this is a larger conversation because it's never clear how much training these people have, because Daniel Day Kim and Anna Kendrick, the way they act, they could have had anywhere from 10 years of training to 10 minutes of training, because there are times when they are just so ignorant of everything going on.
Yeah.
And they don't understand the severity of situations. So there was that. But we find out that they're on their way to Mars. They're doing research, and that Daniel Day Kim and Anna Kendrick had, had basically won like scholarships based on applications to go to Mars and conduct their research. And yeah, so that's kind of how it starts, and things are going along swimmingly until Zoe, played by Anna Kendrick, discovers Michael's unconscious body, I guess, hidden up in the rafters of this ship, which I still don't understand the mechanics of that. I really don't.
I wanted to talk about this too, because this is another complaint of mine. Is one of the few I have actually. Like that just makes no sense. How do you get up there? I mean, he's stuck between essentially the ceiling and the oxygen compressor, the ARCB, whatever they call, like.
Yeah.
That was pretty dumb, because that just makes no sense.
And he survived a rocket launch in that thing. I don't. Yeah, try laying in between two large slabs of metal as a rocket's taking off. See how that goes for you. But yeah, so that's never really properly explained. Like, how do you do that? But anyway, okay, moving on. He's freaking out. Anna Kendrick. Sorry, we should refer to them by their character names, but the character names are really irrelevant. But anyway, Zoe treats him for, injuries. And when they calm him down, he's like, yeah, like we played in the trailer, I'm an engineer, and somehow I got trapped on this ship. And basically the dilemma is we can't go back because this is a mission. So you're just going to have to live with us for 2 years.
Right.
It's so funny because, even though we can't hear Jim speaking, it's treated like such a minor issue at first. They're just like, oh, another person. Okay. Like, it's just so, I guess he's stuck with you.
Yeah.
Like, it's just...
I mean, realistically though, there is nothing they'd be able to do though. I mean, you can't come back.
No.
To do, and so that was fine to me actually. I didn't mind that.
No, I mean, it's just, I don't know why they would be. I don't know. It's just bizarre. It was just a bizarre plot point.
For sure. The whole thing stems from a convenience of he's on board. It doesn't really make sense how he got there. And I think the movie almost asks you just like, hey, accept the fact that he's here, and then can we move on? And you kind of got to say, okay, I accept that, or no, I don't really, like, that doesn't make sense. And
yeah,
it doesn't make sense, but I was just kind of like, okay, he's here. All right, let's go now, I guess. I think that was kind of my approach, at least.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, once we move past that, we have Michael on the ship. Things are going along. He's learning now how to do the procedures. He's actually helping. And, things are going along until, they discover that the oxygen thing is screwed, and they're like, we're going to run out of oxygen. This is another thing. This is another thing with the movie, largely, is it's very procedural. Like, we spend a lot of the runtime going through procedures, watching people go through procedures that don't exist, but it's very important that we see them, So, yeah, basically the oxygen tank is broken and it can't be fixed. And they realize we're going to run out of oxygen collectively on the ship. We don't have enough for 4 people. And that's really the crux of the movie right there.
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes is actually Tony Collette speaking with Jim. Again, wish they would put Jim's voice in, but it is what it is. But one of my favorite scenes is her speaking with him and her kind of coming to that realization that, we don't have enough air. That's a great scene, I think, because she's not even really saying anything, but gosh, Collette is just such a great actor.
Oh yeah. So, she communicates so much with her body language too.
Yeah, just fantastic.
Yeah.
So, this is from this point on is really where you get the this is a space movie feel, because we have to do all these dangerous things to try to survive. So this is really where the movie kind of takes off, in a sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So now essentially we have them doing all these precautions to try, or not necessarily, not precautions, but they're doing all these things to try to get more air. We see Daniel Day-Kim's character, he's sacrificing his algae that he was going to plant on Mars. They're trying to find ways to get oxygen.
Yep. And they're not succeeding.
Not succeeding. You continue, Sam.
Well, yeah, and this is where we really, when they realize that they're kind of out of options, this is where the movie gets philosophically interesting, because then we have like a classic utilitarian problem. It's like one has to die or else everyone dies,
Yeah, yeah, you're right. This is where we get the scene where they kind of come to the conclusion that, hey, we gotta let Michael Michael has to go, essentially. And Anna Kendrick kind of fights for him and says 10 more days. And then eventually, a couple days into that 10-day proposition, Daniel Day-Kim says, screw it, I'll tell him. This is where we're approaching the scene that you had mentioned earlier, where Shamir Anderson, I think his name was.
Yeah.
I feel like I just said it, but I already can't remember.
Shamir, something like that.
Yeah. So this is where we get that scene where, he's contemplating killing himself for the sake of the mission and the rest of the crew. Do you want to talk about the scene more, because this movie really rides on this scene?
Oh, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Basically Dan Day-Kim's character, David, just gives him a little it looks like an EpiPen, but like just a lethal injection is supposed to be just an easy death. And Michael is sitting there holding it, like seriously contemplating suicide. And just his physical presence is phenomenal. His emotions are just so on point. Like, just you really feel that. And he's going back and forth on it. And part of the emotions there, which is so complex, is that he understands why he has to go. Like, he understands that it's probably the right thing to do to save the entire crew. But also, he feels slightly betrayed that they wouldn't tell him. You know, he feels like he's made a connection with these people, and you know, and they didn't tell him initially. It's also true that he kind of had something to do with messing up the oxygen tank unintentionally, but that's where he was like stowed away. You know, so that's part of it. But again, it's so complicated because he's also like a complete victim of circumstance. Like, he didn't ask to be on board, you know. It's not like he was trying to sneak on board and these are the consequences. He is literally just an object, you know.
Yeah, he's dying due to bad luck, essentially. Yeah, it's a really really tough pill to swallow, and it's a really effective scene for sure. Another one of my favorites in the movie.
Yeah, me too.
But we move on. Anna Kendrick kind of talks him off the wall. And essentially, you know, she comes to the commander and David, and she says, you know, like, we got to go try to get the air that's in the whatever thing on the opposite side of this this spaceship thing.
Yeah.
And she's surprised at how quickly David agrees, kind of reluctantly, but agrees to help.
Yep.
And we figure out, though, that their last means of oxygen through the algae is dead. So there's really no hope left. You got to. You got to go get this extra air, and you know, they're risking everything to do it. So. Yeah, what did you think of this upcoming kind of intense action scene?
I thought it was again very procedural. It probably went on a little long, but still really cool. Just cool to see the visuals, how they designed this ship, you know, and also really heart-wrenching. Just to see, you know, anything with like rappelling down a wall, you know, with the ropes and everything. It was really cool.
It was a
really
cool,
intense.
I don't know if like that's an actual thing or if that was made up, but like that their means of getting to the opposite side was cool for sure.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
You know, I kind of noticed it the whole movie, but this is where I really keyed into it. Was I loved this score. I thought it complemented and was used to a T.
Oh, the score was phenomenal. Yeah.
You know, when it was somber, you know, you had that slow music playing that really added a nice touch to those scenes. And then, you know, in this scene especially, you have that kind of quick, rapid score that really complements this kind of tense and thrilling scene. So the score was great. Love that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the other interesting thing about this is they mentioned it like once, and if you weren't paying attention, then this makes no sense. But the artificial gravity, they found a way to make artificial gravity on their spaceship, which I think was, at first it was kind of I thought it was a lazy explainer for why they're not floating around all the time, because really this movie would have been even cooler if we just saw our astronauts floating around the entire time in zero gravity. But no, but then they actually integrated that plot point into the movie later when they're climbing up the tower, and as they get higher and higher, the artificial gravity gets further and further away, so they start losing gravity as they get up. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And it was integrated very nicely. Yeah.
You know, we can kind of fast forward to the end here. They lose one of the oxygen tanks because of a solar radiation, something.
Solar storm.
Yeah. Solar storm. There it is. So essentially they have to go back sooner than they intended, and they lose one of the tanks, and the other tank is still attached to the oxygen.
Right.
Something. A lot of jargon terms in here that you don't get, but it's fine. So essentially they come to the realization that we still need one of those tanks, even in this solar storm, radiation storm, and Anna Kendrick essentially volunteers herself to go die. What'd you think of this, Sam? She gets the oxygen back, and then she sits down and dies in the radiation.
I thought, we knew that someone had to go, right? And I thought that Michael going would just be too unfair because, like I said before, Michael then is less of a character and more of just an object, like an obstacle. Like, he's not treated with proper humanity because he's just like, he didn't want to be on the ship, and now he's in the way of everyone surviving, and then they have to sacrifice it. He's just a pawn,
Yeah.
So I thought it would be kind of cheap of the movie to kill off Michael. I think killing off Zoe Anna Kendrick is, as good as anything. Part of me wanted David to die just because David was just a jerk about it. But then again, if I was on the ship in David's position, I would be a jerk too.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would be like in a life or death situation like that, but I would probably be a terrible person. So, someone had to die. It couldn't be Toni Collette because she's the only one who knows how to fly the ship.
Yeah. I thought this scene was effective. I thought, the way they did it was good, and we see that interaction between Anna Kendrick and I can't even remember her name. Anna Kendrick and David. We see the interaction between the commander and Anna Kendrick. We didn't see an interaction with her and Michael, which was probably fine. We got a few moments with them earlier, so that was okay. But
right.
they play those emotions really well, and then it was a good last shot, almost a little predictable, and slightly corny that they kind of brought back her narration of the why she joined.
Oh, that was dreadful. That was really bad.
But whatever. It's 10 seconds. So, I thought it was a good ending. So overall, I really like this movie. What I do want to talk about, Sam, is kind of the reaction to this movie.
Yeah.
So I finished this movie up. And I was like, man, I really enjoyed that. What does this get on Letterboxd? Because I was just curious. And
right.
It gets a 2.9, which isn't bad. Not great though. Because I would have thought this would have been somewhere near 3.4, 3.5. And I kind of was thinking, why is this? And then on a tangential thought, I was thinking to myself, I really enjoyed that, but I'm done with space movies for a little bit. Like we need like a 2-3 year break of space movies because we've had so many of them recently. We had Midnight Sky last year, which was just dreadful.
But it also had Antarctica, so
Okay, good point. We had that last year. We had Ad Astra the year before, which I enjoyed. But we've had multiple space movies in the last few years.
Really, ever since Gravity, it's just been a thing.
Yeah, Gravity, Interstellar. There's just been so many space movies.
Right.
I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, I like that quite a bit, but I'm done with space movies. Like we need to stop because I don't.
Fair enough.
I don't think I could do another one. And then I thought to myself, I'm like, I think I'm one movie behind the curve. I think everyone else was done with space movies with Midnight Sky.
I see. Yeah.
And everyone sees this and they're like, no, I said no more space movies. Kind of subconsciously.
Yeah.
which I think is interesting. That because I think this is better than what it is getting on Letterboxd. Which is not like Letterboxd is the end all be all of how good a movie is, but I don't know. I found that interesting that I thought this was better than the score it's getting. And I think maybe because of that reason.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. I think you kind of nail it on the head there because, I watched the trailer for this movie, I don't know, like a month ago when it came out, something like that. And you're right. In my head, I remember thinking this, like, I am tired of space movies. I can't believe they're shoving another one down our throats. And I enjoyed it, but yeah, I think when I was watching it, I'm tired again of like the procedure because a lot of the runtime in these space movies is devoted to like just following these steps. Even in Apollo 13, which is allegedly a true story. Well, everyone knows that the moon's not real, so it's not a true story.
Right.
But it's just but. Yeah, even in Apollo 13, it's very procedural, and it kind of gets tiresome after a while. Like, we're just watching people go through steps.
Yeah.
And that's really what bothers me about space movies. In terms of the feelings of claustrophobia and the feelings of isolation and being literally millions of miles from home, that's all emotionally, like, cool. That's cool to watch. That's cool to think about, so they're a bit of a mixed bag for me. But yeah, I think you're right, because I was kind of subconsciously tired of space movies as well when I saw this trailer.
I mean, we've had Gravity, Interstellar, The Martian.
Oh, The Martian, that's right.
First Man, High Life, Ad Astra, The Midnight Sky. There's 10 more that I'm not mentioning because I don't think I've seen them, but have come out in the last 7 years, and like just a lot of space movies.
We had about 20 different documentaries come out in the summer of 2019 because that was the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just so much space, just so much space. And I think we're just kind of done with that for a little bit. Like we just need
I just need a reset. Give me a few years.
Like a 3-year break, because I don't know. I don't know if I could sit through another 2 hours of people doing essentially the same things, because that's what it is, with a little different spin each time. So
yeah.
I don't know. I found that was interesting. That I think I was like one behind the curve. So.
Did you look into like the comments people were making? Because I haven't really investigated that yet.
No, not really. No, I haven't. But I will have to do that though, just to see if people are kind of on the same page that I am.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you have any other thoughts on Stowaway, or should we hit a star rating on this?
Let's hit a star rating. Oh, get it? Stars. Oh my god. You're a genius.
That's why they pay me the big bucks.
That's why they pay you the big bucks. All right. Yeah, I don't really have any wrap-up thoughts. I thought the cast was questionable at points. I think the story is good. It just has a lot of fat to be trimmed. But it's an interesting premise, and it works most of the time. I think I put in my review it's a decent Stowaway is a decent popcorn movie. Maybe an even higher level popcorn movie because it makes you think a little bit. But
it'll make you
I'll give this 3 stars out of 5. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm just slightly higher than you. I'm gonna go with 3.5. I really did like this quite a bit. It's close to a 3, but I'm gonna go 3.5. And
okay.
Yeah, I enjoyed a lot of what this movie was doing. Really like the score. Like I could see, I know I said that, but I could see myself listening to this. So yeah, solid entry. That's I will never revisit. So there we go.
There we go. All right, fair enough.
Yeah. Do we want to get into some recommendations for the week and then get out of here?
Yeah, let's get some recommendations. You got anything off the top of your head?
I'll go first because I'm excited about this one.
Okay, go ahead.
And I'm really excited about the one I have for next week, but I won't quite yet. But yeah,
okay.
I watched a movie yesterday that I quite enjoyed that I did not think I would. And that is one Nocturnal Animals in 2016.
Ooh. Wow.
Starring Amy Adams and Jake Gyllenhaal. Anything with Jake Gyllenhaal, you know, I watch it reluctantly. I'm like, gosh, this is either going to be really good or I'm just going to hate this because he's just so weird. But
he's a creepy dude.
Yeah, yes, he is. Love this movie. Really interesting concept. Something I had not seen done before, and it took me a minute to get into it because the first like 20 minutes, I'm like, gosh, I don't know about this. It took me a second to get what the movie was doing, and then I was in, and you know. So I mentioned Amy Adams and Jake Gyllenhaal, but Sam, listen to this cast, man. I mean, this cast is insane.
Yeah.
You got Adams, Gyllenhaal, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Isla Fisher, Armie Hammer, Michael Shannon. You know, great cast.
Yeah, Michael Shannon.
Worth checking out. Super interesting about this woman reading her ex-husband's, you know, first novel, and it kind of cuts to real life, and then as she's reading it, it cuts to depictions of the novel as well. So, really interesting. And I said it in my review on Letterboxd, but man, Michael Shannon is so good. He is acting circles around everyone in this movie, and this movie is full of great actors. So
really, okay, that's interesting.
Watch it just for him because holy smokes!
Just to study that performance.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I have to check that out. I actually have a friend at school who is really high on that movie. Has been wanting me to see it for a while.
It's on Netflix, so anyone can. It's easily accessible. So there, check Nocturnal Animals out. I should say, don't turn it off by just the opening credits intro. Worst opening credits sequence of all time, and I mean it. But
really,
I thought about turning it off, and don't.
Wow. Okay. Wow. All right. I don't think I've ever turned a movie off because of the opening credits, but okay.
That's really bad.
Wow. That's strong. Okay. Wow. All right. So with that, no. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit because I'm probably halfway through this, but I'm reading a book right now. It's called Green Shadow's White Whale. And my friend gave it to me, the same friend who's really high on Nocturnal Animals, by the way. But he gave it to me because he bought it. He got 20 pages in. He's like, Sam, you would enjoy this much more than me. You need to read this. The book, Green Shadow's White Whale, is by a fella named Ray Bradbury, who wrote, you know, The Martian Chronicles and most famously Fahrenheit 451. It is like a semi-autobiographical account of him traveling to Ireland with the famed director John Huston to write a screenplay for John Huston's Moby Dick movie. Basically, John Huston is making this is like in the 50s. John Huston was making a movie based on the classic novel Moby Dick, and Ray Bradbury was in charge of writing the screenplay. But he portrays John Huston as like this larger-than-life figure. And so far, it is legitimately one of the funniest books I've ever read.
Nice.
Because John Huston is just this wild man. You know, it's just bizarre. Sure. But there's a lot of stuff like, there's a lot of names that come up that are really famous to the history of cinema, you know, and I'm really fascinated by someone like John Huston. So, yeah, definitely check it out. Green Shadows, White Whale when you get a chance. Quick read too. I'm not through it yet, but it's a quick read.
Nice, good.
So,
but sweet. So next week we'll have The Woman in the Window on Netflix. Also starring Amy Adams, as I just talked about her.
Right.
And then the week after, which will be the week of the 17th through the 20th. Let's see. I feel like this is when we're going to start getting some in-theater releases. So we'll update you on that next week. So, Sam.
Hopefully, yeah.
Awesome. Where can I find you on Letterboxd?
If you're looking, you can find me on letterboxd.com/sjdierberger. And where can I find you, Will?
You can find me on the Letterboxd at willspalding, and you can find us, in space trying to fix our CDRA oxygen machine thing. Or you can find us at anchor.fm/thosefilmnerds or thosefilmnerds.weebly.com or any place podcasts can be listened to at Those Film Nerds. And then thosefilmnerds@gmail.com and thosefilmnerds on Instagram. If you have any thoughts about the show or any movie-related questions, ideas, thoughts, email them in. And there we go. And with that being said, Sam.
Keep watching movies, everyone. Have a great week.
Thank you.